Here's a little video to talk to you about embedding audio, video, and also using social media icons and how you might do these things. This would be audio from SoundCloud is what we're probably talking about, or some other audio service, Stitcher, or any place you use. Or it might be video from YouTube. Let me just start by saying, for both those things, yes, you can read about in your book. It is possible to host your own video to sort of like attach. In particular, audio is a little easier, just attaching it directly to, or having it actually there in a folder, having it play on your page. But it's much, much, much better to run it through one of these services like YouTube or Vimeo or any other video service, or like for audio, SoundCloud or Stitcher or any other audio service. And let them take care of the hosting. That way, people in different parts of the world with different types of audio players, different types of computers, and different types of audio requirements can all still use it, because these companies take care of making sure the right file type is delivered and so on. That having been said, that means if you've got some stuff you want to show on your samples page, for instance, you got to make sure you get up onto YouTube. And of course, you should have a YouTube account or Vimeo or so on. And let's start with YouTube. And here I am. And let's say that I want to take this of many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos that I've made. Hey, I'll use this one, SVG demo. Fascinating. I'm going to click on it and say, yes, I could watch it. No, I'm not going to watch it. You've seen enough of those things. I want to go to share. Almost every one of these services is some kind of a share. Sometimes it's an embed button. Sometimes it just says share. Sometimes you share. Usually you go to share and you have a lot of choices, and one of them is embed. Okay. Now embed is going to give me a number of choices sometimes. Sometimes there's more advanced choices. Sometimes there's not. It gives me the option to start at a certain time position if I wanted to not just start the video at the beginning, but start somewhere else. Show player controls, which I think is a good idea. Enable privacy enhanced mode. I don't even know what that means. And then there's more. Okay, good. Not a whole lot of choices. Actually, YouTube used to have a lot more choices about their player and how you could embed it, but they don't now. But you could make some of those changes yourself. But what you're really going to get is this big thing here, this big piece of code, which you can click on copy to make sure you get it, and it tells me my link is copied to my clipboard. Okay, so once you've got that, what do? So let's go do something with it. I have here a file that you are probably sick of looking at, and it looks like this. Actually, I've already got the social media icons down there. I'll show you that in a minute. Let's imagine that I want to stick a chunk of video in here someplace. I want it to appear, whatever. Maybe I should move that contact thing first and get that out of here so I don't have that in the way. Let me just do that quickly. So we could do it by, I could just disable that piece of that contact stuff in here. Let's see, where was that? There it is. Why don't I just do that? I'm just going to do a /* and */ and let's save it and run it. Good. That text is kind of there, but now it's just part of the paragraph, really, right? Okay, good. So I still got on my clipboard that thing, right? And let's go put it someplace. Let's go down here. Let's say I'll just go in between these two paragraphs here. Between these two paragraphs, maybe. I'm going to paste it in. So what we got here? Well, it's got all kinds of stuff. It's got a width and a height. Okay, so it has actually proportions. And then it has something called an iframe. An iframe is actually a pretty old technology. In fact, it may be mentioned in your textbook someplace, but it's been around for a long time. What it does is it kind of creates a window inside your website so that other things can show through. In this case, the YouTube player is showing through. So I'll save this and run it. And there's my player. And now I can play it right here, and it'll play in my page. Or, of course, I can go to YouTube and play it there. Now, maybe you've got a bunch of videos and you're going to stack them up side by side. Of course, you can float videos. The iframe, flex them with Flexbox, make them line up or something. They do have a certain size, you see, though, automatically by themselves. So that is a little issue. So they're not necessarily going to flex that well completely, but they could still sit in here side by side. Or Flexbox would be nice because if the page got narrower, they would go down to a single stack of them. Or maybe you just want it to be bigger to begin with, or some other size. Well, you can edit that. Oops, here I am. You can edit these numbers. 560 by 315. Maybe I think it should really be. I'm going to get rid of the height for a minute. Let's see what happens. I'm going to make it only 400. And let's run it. Now it's gotten really tiny. That's almost too tiny, really. I ideally needed the height. I have the height on there to hold that window open properly. So I'll go back again. I'm going to do Control Z. Okay, so I could change these numbers some more. The only thing is, you kind of have to keep the proportions the same. So you can do this with some math by figuring out the proportions. And if you decide you want a different width, you can figure out what the height should be. I'll leave you to do that. Okay, so yes, you can change the size of the player. And let's do another one. Let's do some SoundCloud, just so you can see that too. And I've got here's my SoundCloud, which I have very little in. I've got a couple of pieces of audio that I used. You'll see that they come with you can add this art and so on. And let's say that this is the one that I want right here. So I could go to share, okay? And it's showing me how it's going to look. I can go to embed, and actually SoundCloud gives me more choices. I can have this big player like this. I can have a little player like that. I can have a tiny little player like this. But except for the tiny little one, I have to go pro, and I'm not paying them money. Anyway, maybe I like that one. I could change the colors. I could enable autoplay. It shows me what it's going to look like. Okay, and let's say I like this one, right? All I have to do is click in there and just copy, Control C, and whatever. I'll get out of there. And we'll go back here, and let's put in one of those. I'll put it down here, okay? Yeah. Blank line. Oops, there it is. It's another iframe. Interestingly, this one does use 100% width and then a certain height. And it's still an iframe, and then it links. Both of them have a link. You see, both of them have a link to the actual thing there that's within the iframe. And we'll see. Look at that. So I could play with the width and height on those. See, the width is going to go out to the full width of the page. In this one, I have some other choices of how it's going to look. So I could stack up a bunch of SoundCloud things if I wanted to. And remember, whenever you use video or audio, or actually anything that turns out to be art, ask yourself, do I need some explanation? Does it need some caption information, or does it need a paragraph that explains? Maybe before all the pieces of video or audio, a paragraph explaining, hey, here's some stuff I did in the audio video class or something, or here's some stuff I did on a radio station, or I don't know what. Maybe you put in some context, and so people will know, oh yeah, I want to go click on that because that came from wherever it was. Okay, so different services, slightly different, Stitcher and Vimeo and so on, but same idea. And then you can play with the numbers and edit them if you wish. Let's go look at this idea. Let's say you want some social media icons because you'll get extra credit for them and because they might be nice. Yes, you could make your own, but you probably don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm going to go to Google free social media icons. It's always going to be one of the first choices. And there's a lot of them. They go on and on and on. I could just go looking for so many of these possible ones. And they are from all different places. And people just make these and hand them out. Sometimes they're in somewhat awkward things to use, like they might be like one big sheet that you have to take apart. Sometimes they're different separate files. Sometimes they're different formats. Some of them are going to be in Illustrator formats, which is a little bit odd. We haven't dealt with that. Otherwise, maybe there'd be JPEGs or PNGs, or maybe you have some options. And yes, maybe they want to make you pay if you want to have something else special or something. But Anyway, you can find something that looks like it fits into your theme. That's important, right? And like it fits on your page and looks nice, and yet probably it's going to have many more than you wish to have in any one of these choices. So I don't have any particular choice for you, but I just say you can go around and look and find them. And then you click on them and read about it and then download it. And the different ones have to be used in different ways. If you have any problems with them, you can ask me, but I think you can probably figure it out. So then what are you going to do with them? Well, I put them in a folder. Yep, embeds, there it is. And I have Facebook, and I have Twitter, and I have YouTube ones. And that's how they came from wherever I got them long ago. Look at that. It was 2015. Wow. You can ignore this text banner thing. I'm not sure what that's doing there. Anyway, oh, they came from a social media set of which there was many others, and there was this giant file of them, a JPEG that you could take apart and then save off separate ones. So I did that in Photoshop. I just clipped off the different pieces that I wanted. Sometimes they come like that. So I have these little files here, and they are little, but I wanted to make them the size I wanted to and behave properly. So this is all I did. So I created this little, down below the footer, let me bring that up so you can see it better. I made this div, here it is, okay, with these little IMGs in here. There's an IMG and another one. Whoops. Okay, and another one. Okay, and I just gave them a width myself here, just to keep them nice and small. And I've not linked them, but of course I put an href around them. So this would go to my Facebook page, that would go to my Twitter page, that would go to my YouTube, whatever. And then the div closes. So that's all that I did, is that. But then of course I had to, this sizes them, but I needed to center them. How did I do that? And by the way, these days, these might be SVGs that you might have. And you've dealt with those already too. So all I did is I made this little thing. Social, gave it, there's the hashtag social, which links to the ID of social for that div. I gave it a margin of 0 in auto. Remember, auto centers size things. And I gave the overall thing a width of 170 px. So then they just kind of float in there, centered within that centered div. Just one way to handle it. You could use Flexbox for it. And you've seen things like that already too for Flexbox, another option. Okay, there you go. 2 little extra tidbits of ideas that things you might want to try on your resume.